Welcome to the Center for Universal Oneness. We are an open, welcoming, spiritual community that supports all faith traditions and invites you to join us on your spiritual journey. We host different speakers each week to guide and inspire us. We are guided by universal principles of acceptance of all that is sacred, and we strive to live in the oneness of love. Please enjoy this presentation.
She is an author of at least 3 books and multiple chapters in others. She's an ordained Unity minister and on the faculty for the Unity Institute. And most important of all, she was Dennis and my first and most beloved CEE instructor before we went to seminary. And she's going to talk to us, as Dennis mentioned to you, on divine paradox, quantum, and unity principles. So, Aliza, with that introduction, please take it away.
Awesome. We're going to start with a song. Thank you, Kyle. And so it is, and so we let it be, right? That is Eddie Watkins. He is a really renowned musician. He was a New Thought musician before he came into Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living many years ago, before he started, excuse me, writing his own music. He was the backup for all the big greats in Motown. He grew up in Motown. So he's great. And I just loved, I don't know if you do, but loved that I found him at Unity Village Chapel. So I feel like I'm right there in Kansas City, even though I know you're not Unity Village Chapel, nor are you there. But anyway, those two things inspired me to want to bring him to open today with Eddie Watkins. So divine paradox. What is paradox? Well, I can define paradox. 2 ducks sitting on a lake next to each other. Ha, ha, ha. I know I'm bad. I'm known for bad jokes. So, okay. I got another one. This is a paradox. Swiss cheese is a paradox, right? Swiss cheese has lots of holes. The more holes you have, the less cheese you have. The more cheese you have, the more holes you have. Therefore, the more cheese you have, the less cheese you have. What? That's paradox. It makes you go, what? Wait, what? But spirituality is paradoxical because we are ever evolving. Hopefully, we're ever evolving in our awareness, in our consciousness. There are multiple, infinite layers of consciousness. There are actually different dimensions of the world that we live in, depending on where we put our focus and our awareness. So it's all about conscious evolution. If you're familiar with the work of Don Beck and Ken Wilber and many others, E.J. Niles, some of you might know E.J., about spiral dynamics, that gives us a great map for where we are in the evolution of consciousness. And what I've been playing in the last couple of years is what I call New Humanity Now. New Humanity Now is that state of awareness. It is a dimension, really, of consciousness that we are already one. Not that we strive to it, not that we, would never get there from our heads, which I'll talk about in a few moments, but it is that place where we are one, where everything in our awareness comes from that place of oneness. And in that place, in that world, in that new humanity, which already is, you're just not going to find it on the news and the headlines too much. But in that, there is no war, there is no discrimination, there is no injustice, there is love and oneness and creativity and compassion and innovation. It is a different way of being on the planet. It's very paradoxical, if you will, to what we see when we look at the outer realm. So the quantum and the unity principles, I've been playing in the quantum for a few years. Love, love, love the quantum. Some of the definitions or other words for quantum, I believe Charles Fillmore used the word going to headquarters for the quantum, divine mind, infinite. We also use source, we use creation, we use anything that is beyond ourselves. And the definition of paradox, which actually I have a book called that, Paradox of Awakening, Finding Peace in a World of Chaos. Hey, look at that. Look how good Kyle is today. In this book, I define paradox as a seemingly absurd or contradictory statement or proposition that when investigated or explained, may prove to be well-founded and true. So one simple paradox is gravity, right? Gravity says everything falls to the ground. Aerodynamics is paradoxical in a sense to gravity. Now, science tells us it's not paradoxical, it's the next evolution of ways to use the law of gravity. So it's not, it supersedes in a sense, it transcends in a sense, but they also still lean into each other. So the first lesson in quantum physics, now I will just caveat this by saying I am not a quantum physicist. I am not a scientist. I'm a spiritual nerd, if you will. I've given some different talks around quantum, and then a couple people over the years have come up and said, well, that's not exactly how quantum physics works. I go, okay, I get that. I don't really care. No offense to the scientists, but for my point, right, I take liberty for the spiritual, for the analogy, for the parable, for the paradox, okay? So the first principle in quantum physics says that the world is participatory, which means that things respond to being observed. The second is that the universe behaves paradoxically. And unfortunately, our minds, our limited minds, our reptilian brains are uncomfortable with the paradoxical situations because we've been developed, our brains have been developed to think binarily, to think linearly, to think rationally. We'll throw that out, right? That not completely, but those are tools that support our awakening. But if those are the only tools we use, we will stay very limited in our thinking. We as humans are typically not comfortable with ambiguity or the not knowing. We don't like to not know. We also don't like unresolved situations, right? We like resolution. We like settle. And sometimes we settle for win-lose instead of waiting for win-win. We settle for less than elegant solutions or less than brilliant solutions just to release our anxiety about not knowing. So that means that we will avoid, when we're unconscious, at all costs, the unknown. Now, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been working as a transitional minister, an interim minister, and the primary fundamental foundation of transition is to lean into the gap between the known, the gap in the transition after the ending happens before the beginning happens. And it is this field of unknown. Now, I will say that when I started ministry, I did not like the gap. I did not like to not know. I wanted to know. I just wanted to know. It was in my DNA, like it is for most of us. But what I found is the more comfortable I got in my uncomfortableness about not knowing, the greater the gifts were. It was like it popped me into this realm so far beyond what I could dream up. That magic happened, miracles happened, divine inspiration happened, and it's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Tesla says, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Tesla said that a long time ago. And so I wanted to weave in, I've been playing, like when I read Tesla's words, I went, that's what I've been doing. right? Oh, that explains where I've been playing. I tend to work like that. I have this one friend who's very out there in consciousness. She's so amazing, fabulous. And we're a part of a global consciousness group that meets every Tuesday, but she will say things that will be like, and then she'll like, anybody agree? And I'm like, yeah. But I didn't even know I'd had that thought. Like I used to say, I didn't have the words for the thought. But what I'm finding to be more true is I didn't even have the thought yet. I didn't even have the impulse yet. So I'm in this continual expanding in my brain, in my life experience, in my vibration of what's possible. And that is so exciting, especially in this world, because as you know, we look at the outer world and we go, oh, right? Oof. So I wanted to lay out the quantum principles with our 5 basic principles. I know not everybody here is necessarily unity, but fundamentally new thought. So the first principle we have in unity is there's one presence and one power active in the universe. We call it God. One power, oneness, the universe, the quantum field, the beginning. Before anything was, there was no thing at all. That's the quantum. In quantum physics, we basically, like, again, simplified, there's a particle, which is like the material, and there's the wave, which is the potential. And when from the potential, from the field, from the void of not knowing, all things are possible. Infinitely, everything is possible. But we get caught in the particle. So we get caught in the particle that says, well, there's injustice going on in the world. Well, there's climate stuff going on in the world. Well, there's whatever. I mean, just name anything. I'm having an experience in my body or my pocketbook or my relationship, right? We get caught in the evidence of that particle, but the particle is just the tiny, tiny, tiny little potential of the infinite. So when we simplify our one power, or when we simplify quantum into one power, it's infinite. I guess that's the best word, right? It is all that is. It is infinite possibilities, unlimited potential. It is the infinite source creation of all that has not yet been created. So think Genesis. In the beginning, before there was anything, when there was no thing at all, there came an impulse out of the wave, and then
Well, is everybody experiencing Aliza as frozen?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you're frozen. Okay. Kyle, do you have any suggestions for her?
She might just have to leave and come back out. I mean, there's nothing she can really do besides that, unless she was just talking about that dead spot in her house. I wonder if that. Let me message.
I think she just checked out. She's probably gonna.
There she is.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm
you're
back.
back.
There we are.
Probably got caught up in a particle.
Dennis, I asked you to deal with my internet.
Yes.
Okay, prayers.
Sounds
for
like
my
home.
internet.
It's my fault. I know.
No blame, right? So we're particles, right? Where did I lose off? Somebody was trying to tell me.
Well, particles are reflections of the finite, and waves are the potential of the infinite source.
Yes, that's good. So second principle, did you hear any of that yet? Okay.
Well, let's go to that.
Okay, let's go to that. We're going to go to that because, I'm going to run out of time if I keep dropping off. So second principle is that we all have that Christ potential within. And when I first came into Unity, I thought, oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. It was so inspiring to me because I thought somewhere, sometime down the road, a decade or a dozen lifetimes from now or sometime that might be almost possible. But what I know now is it's not only possible in the future, it's possible right here. And it's not only possible, it's a responsibility. I mean, we have the responsibility to awaken to this truth if we want this planet and our humanity to evolve. Einstein said, we are slowed down sound and light waves, the quantum, a walking bunch of frequencies tuned into the cosmos. We are souls dressed up in sacred biochemical garments, and our bodies are the instrument through which our souls play their music. And Hafiz, which I have a slide, says this: I wish I could show you the astonishing light of your own being. Stay close to anything that makes you glad. You are alive. That light is our Christ potential. That Christ potential is our becomingness, our biggest, boldest, most brilliant becomingness. And we're here to make manifest, right? Not in manifesting, but allowing the truth of who we be to come forth. The third principle is the law of mind action. As Charles Fillmore said it, it is that which we think about is what we experience in the world. The transcending law of mind action is the law of vibration and frequency and energy, that which Einstein and Tesla and others were developing whenever that was. But the laws that are transcending says that not only what we think about, but how we vibrate is what we experience in the world. So we're transcending our thinking. Like, we don't have to change our thinking if we can change our vibration. Richard Rohr says we do not think ourselves into new ways of being, but we live ourselves into new ways of thinking. We are vibrational beings having a spiritual experience in the human condition, a quote out of this book. So my work is all about vibration and frequency. Einstein also said, you all know this, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking we used when we created them. That means from particle to particle. We can't solve particle to particle with the same level of the particle. But as soon as we lift our consciousness, Emily Cady says the absolute and the relative, as soon as we move our consciousness, not our experience, but our consciousness to the absolute, to the quantum, all things are possible and miraculous outcomes. Just, it doesn't matter what the problem or issue is. It's all possible. The resolution of it, the healing of it, the experience of moving beyond it is all possible. Charles Fillmore says this in a book called Atom Smashing Power. Atom Smashing Power of the Mind. It's a fabulous book. It's not one we often talk about, but it's a fabulous book. He says this. Well, his mind was simply fascinated by the idea of the atom. This very small particle of substance and the enormous energy locked up in it. At other times, he said, he thought of it as the very essence of our spiritual energy. Can you feel how that's the same thing? Like the energy that's inside the atom, now we've gone far beyond just the atom in science, is the energy of the universe. We measure frequency in hertz. We measure vibration by how we feel. And the combination, when you have an elevated frequency with a clear intention, when you have an elevated emotion with a clear intention, the thing that you're desiring has to happen. A couple of jokes. Does your migraine happen at a regular frequency? Yes, it hurts. I tell bad jokes with such frequency that it hurts. At what frequency does laughter become painful? A giggle hurts. I can't help myself. All right, principle number 4. Affirmative prayer and meditation is how we connect with that which we call God. Now, just the word God just almost doesn't even work for me anymore, because it's so limiting where I feel that presence, right? Charles Fillmore goes to headquarters. He touches the stillness. He touches the quantum. Myrtle Fillmore, when she discovered that she was more than her dis-ease, she was greater than the experience of her body, she touched the quantum. She reaches for the quantum. He reaches for the quantum. So true prayer, and this is from Atom Smashing Power, brings about an exalted radiation of energy. And when it is accompanied by faith, judgment, and love, the word of truth bursts forth in a stream of life that, when held in mind, illumines, uplifts, and glorifies. Can you begin to sense that Charles Fillmore was already living in the quantum? We just didn't have the language for it yet. He was having the experience. We just didn't have the language. So prayer and meditation right now for me is every time we get ourselves into coherence or resonance or alignment with that which is greater than me, not outside of me, outside, bigger than, and within me, my whole system recalibrates to a different truth. This is proven by heart math with their science on when you come into heart-brain coherence, your body changes, your heart rate, heart rhythm variability changes, your stress hormones drop, your feel-good hormones kick up, everything changes in just a matter of moments. And when we change vibrationally, then the world changes. I have another slide from Rumi. Try not to resist the change that comes your way. Instead, right, just feel this. Try not to resist the change that comes your way. Instead, let life live through you, and do not worry that your life is getting turned upside down. How do you know that the side you're used to is better than the one to come? It brings us back into that not knowing. It brings us into non-resistance. It brings us into surrender. It brings us into oneness with all that is. And when we practice that oneness, when we sit in the silence, which really basically means disengaged from the monkey mind, because the monkey mind might still run, but if you just pay it no attention, make your monkey mind irrelevant, you find the silence in the midst of it. And you let life flow through you, it magic happens, miracle happens. It's like alignment happens. And most of all, you find in your being a sense of peace, of calm, of quiet. And from that place, inspiration happens. Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of my heroes, said, if you want something different than what you have to be different vibrationally. If you are experiencing something that you don't want, historically, typically, humanity focuses on what we don't want. So say I have a sore knee, which I had yesterday. I could focus on my sore knee, sore knee, sore knee, sore knee, sore knee, sore knee, sore knee. And my vibration goes, oh, my knee hurts and I can't hardly walk. And I shouldn't have played that pickleball game for as long as I did, because now my knee hurts, and my monkey mind takes off. You might recognize this in some variation for yourself. But if I come right to the quantum, if I come to my point of stillness, I go, oh, I'm having evidence that my knee hurts. What's it like if it doesn't hurt? What does my knee need? Oh, it needs some space. It might need some heat, might need some ice, it might need a stretch. It's just like I create this spaciousness in my knee, and all of a sudden, I'm not paying any attention to my knee. And then all of a sudden after that, I can notice that it no longer hurts. Hurts again, sorry, had to throw it in there, right? But we can do that with anything, because our habituated pattern is to obsess about what we don't want. But if we can interrupt that pattern, drop into that point of stillness, line up with our first principles, our second principles, through our third and fourth principles, everything's possible. And you can do that by a simple phrase. I wonder how this is going to work out. I can't wait to see the miraculous outcome in this one, right? Can you feel how that opens you up? Fifth principle is practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? You practice, practice, practice. My friend, oh my gosh, my friend Denise Lee, who's a musician in Dallas, just got to sing in Carnegie Hall just like a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't even know I had this dream. I'm thinking to myself, of course you had this dream. And she did it. And it came about through this super easy, miraculous way because she was lined up with her essence, with her soul essence, with her biggest gift to the world. She was lined up with that. And through a series of completely unexpected in the way they showed up, here she finds herself singing on that stage, just in awe. Of course, we're all in awe with her. Fillmore books are timeless, and quantum physics is proving Charles Fillmore's metaphysics to be right on. He also says in the atom smashing power of the mind, the kingdom of heaven, the new dimension of mind and energy that is being unfolded today in the spiritual ethers by the discoveries of scientists should not be divorced from the kingdom taught by Jesus. Jesus taught in parables because his listeners were not trained in science. Jesus taught in paradoxes to allow the minds of his listeners, including us today, to go, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? Every time you can go, wait, what? You open to a new possibility because it interrupts the unconscious mind in order to step in to the quantum, the divine mind, the spiritual ethers, right? Another word for quantum that Charles used. Charles also said, I reserve the right to change my mind because we are ever evolving. So if we want to change some aspect of our reality, we have to think, we have to feel, we have to act in new ways. We have to be different. The easiest way to be different is to shift your vibrational frequency, shift where you put your awareness. In the world that I live in, the new humanity, when we shift and we line up in our global consciousness group, what we see is such brilliance, such creativity and innovation, such possibilities. It feels like we are co-creating at that level that which both, number one, already is, and that which is coming, that which is becoming. We are ever evolving into oneness. I used to think oneness was the end all be all. But what I've discovered is that oneness is the start point for a new consciousness, a new evolution. And that evolution from oneness is to allness. When we land in allness, we will not see lack, limitation. We will not see the places in the world that look very broken to us. And the more that we not see it, the more we see collaboration and connection and compassion, the more we see that, the more we feel it, the more we be it, the more we draw it forth onto this planet. We are called to practice this work. We know these principles, but if you can put them into practice, maybe in a new way, right? Maybe in just a small little quantum shift in your own practice, we will begin to discover that we truly are so much more than we can even imagine. When we leap out of the known into the unknown is filled with brilliance. It's simply brilliant. I see my fundamental belief in humanity is that humanity is brilliant, and that I see each and every one of you, each and every person on this planet in your biggest, boldest, most brilliant becomingness. I see it, I hold it, I operate from that place some of the time, right? Doesn't mean I don't drop into my humanity and don't have a reaction to.
She just dropped into her humanity.
Eliza, you're
Static.
stuck again.
Just static in the humanity. Yeah.
Whatever you did to unstick yourself last time, maybe it'll work again.
Yeah.
Isn't technology wonderful?
Mhm.
Lots of surprises.
I assume she knows she's frozen out because otherwise I can text her.
Well, probably that would be a good idea, Kyle. Yeah.
Oh, there she goes.
Jeff, are you getting all this down?
Okay.
Ambiguity, living in transition, paradoxical, atom smashing power. Wait, what?
There's so
Where you
much,
put your
F.
where you put your awareness?
there's
Yeah,
so much there, but like awareness is the thing, right?
truly,
All right,
Um,
she's back.
living in ambiguity.
Where's she?
There she is.
There she is.
There she is.
There she is.
And she's back.
is.
And even in the quantum, right? There's life. And even in the quantum, there's internet issues. And I could let that ruin my day and be all embarrassed and upset by it. Or I could just notice that that's my habituated response and go, oh, well, what if I can just pop back in? I have my phone here. Now I'm on my phone. Boom, here I am. So anyway, I don't know where I lost you that time, but we are called to do this work. We are called to embody our principles in a way beyond what we've ever done. We're called to be the ones we're waiting on, to know, to line up, to practice these principles that you all know and love in a new way today, in a new way today, in a new way today, and call forth that world that we want to see, to call forth, to become the light, to become the source of all that is, to become the source of a world that works for all people. We are called to consciously co-create a world, a new world. It's time. Would you like to join me? Let's take these thoughts into a time of meditation. Take a breath. Close your outer eyes. And just notice what you're noticing about your experience this morning. Without judgment, without trying to make it be any different, just notice it. And take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring your awareness from wherever it is in your mind. Bring it down to your body and notice your physical body. Once you have your awareness on your physical body, drop that awareness deep into the core of your being, into the essence of your spiritual heart. Breathe into that essence. Move your awareness deep into the core of your being. Find yourself Notice that there's a small light, a small flame, maybe like a flame from a match. And begin to notice that you are that flame. It is within you, but you're also within it. And turn that flame up. Allow it to come from a match flame to a candle flame. Turn it up like a flame of a lantern. Turn it up, it becomes like a street light. Turn it up, it becomes like a big light, like a stadium light. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. That this light that you are is so much bigger than you. Find it. Find yourself in the very center of this light. Feel this light expanding even further, connecting with all the other lights that are in the service and all the other lights in the universe. Feel this light that you are, joining as one with all light on our planet, all light from our sun, all light in our universe. And notice that as the light, you have become the quantum, you've become the infinite potential and unlimited possibilities of the universe. You've actually become source of all that is. You've become the very impulse of source itself. And in this light, just look to see what is one particular aspect that you would desire in your body, in your mind, in your life, in your experience, in your world. And just allow one idea to come from this place of infinite possibility. And line up with it. And as you line up with it, just draw it toward you as it draws you toward this idea. And draw it down from the infinite, from the source of all, right down into this now moment in your own body, mind, heart, soul, spirit system. Let it land there. And know that this light is yours, but more than that, this light is you. This is your beingness, your soul essence. And as you allow that to integrate into your being, you will know if there's an action to take. Feel this light emanating, permeating and penetrating the very cells of your being, all the way down to the atoms in your cells. And together we know this truth: I am light. I am one. I am love. I am light. Take a deep breath in, say to yourself, put your hand on your heart even. I am light. I am light. Hold this feeling, hold this vibration, hold this awareness as we close with a song.